Namaste. Welcome to Vishwa Yoga. My name is Vishwa. Today I will talk about the fundamentals of Kashmir Shaivism. My obeisance to Lord Shiva, who is always with Divine Mother. May they guide me to share this knowledge today. I'm assuming that you have already watched my video on Shaiva Tantra, in which I covered the fundamentals of Shaiva Tantra, including types of Shaiva Agmas, major schools, and their types. I will add a link of that video here. Kashmir Shaivism is one of the main schools of Shaiva Tantra. Kashmir is the name of a region and a state in North India, next to the Himalayas, where this system developed and flourished. It is also known as non-dual Shaivism or Northern School of Shaivism, and it is considered as the highest tradition among all the Shaiva schools. From this school, Shaiva Tantra sprouted. Please keep in mind that there is a slight difference between the non-dualistic school of Tantra and Vedanta, which I have already covered in one of the previous videos. Now, Shaiva Tantra is considered the most ancient one, as its knowledge was directly revealed by Lord Shiva. Though Shiva and Shakti are like two faces of the same coin, they are never separate. But in Shaiva Tantra, we look from Shiva's perspective. So, Lord Shiva is more emphasized here, and Shakti is referred to as the dynamic power of Shiva. So, what is the meaning of word Shiva? Shiva is made of two words, Shi and Va. It means that which is not. Yes, that which is not. In Upanishad, it is said that which is seen is not Shiva. It is through which is seen is Shiva. You can call it as universal pure consciousness, Chitta, or Chaitanya. Shiva is also referred to as Prakash or light. But it is not the ordinary light. It is the luminosity, the source, the spirit, the cosmic intelligence, or pure consciousness. And everything that is reflected, seen, or experienced due to that light is Shakti of Shiva. For the ordinary mind, the representation of Shiva and Shakti is generally depicted as a half male and half female called Ardhanarishwara, or as a Shivalingam with the yoni. Now let's dive into the basics of Kashmir Shaivism. The exact time of origin of this tantric tradition is unknown, but it is said that Shiva illuminated the universe through his energy known as Shakti, which started the golden age called Sati Yuga. Shiva is the first guru or the master, known as Adi Guru. He is the founder of Tantric tradition, all the mantras. First, Shiva shared the knowledge of Shaiva Tantra with his consort, Shakti or Divine Mother. As time passed, in each era, the knowledge gradually disappeared, but he kept appearing in different forms and passing down the knowledge as needed for that time. Different texts may say a similar or slightly different story. One text says he appeared as Swachandanath and shared the knowledge of Tantra with rishis. Another text says in the present era, Kali Yuga, he reappeared as Srikantanath on the Mount Kailas and passed all the knowledge of Tantras to sage Durvasa. And Shiva emphasized that the tantric practices are more suitable for the present era called Kali Yuga. The story also says that sage Durvasa intensely meditated and waited for the qualified disciples to show up so that he can pass the knowledge, but found no one. So he created 3 mind-born sons. He initiated each of them into respective Shaiva agamas. His son Triambaka was fully initiated into the monastic or non-dualistic agama, in which the philosophy is there is no difference between Shiva, Shakti and individual soul. Thus it is also called Abheda philosophy, means no differentiation. And that is known as Bhairava Tantra. And that's what it is known as Kashmir Shaivism. The other types of agamas are Shaiva and Rudra, which are dualistic and a mixed one, means dualistic and non-dualistic philosophies. Kashmir Shaivism is considered as Para or the supreme one. In Kashmir Shaivism, Shiva is considered as the supreme one, but Shakti is also emphasized in this tradition. Kashmir Shaivism is comparatively a younger philosophy, formally developed between 8th and the 12th centuries, but has tried to explain all the ambiguities which the ancient philosophers failed to do so. This school has multiple flavors. It is said that, like Advaita Vedanta, it is non-dualistic. Like yoga, it is practical. Like Vaishnavism, it is theistic. And like Nyaya philosophy, it is logical. And like Buddhism, it is appeasing. This philosophy appears to be more idealistic and realistic with a practical approach. So let me start with some of the key concepts. So the first term is Anuttara, or the supreme, or the ultimate principle. Anuttara is identified with Shiva as supreme consciousness or Chitta, uncreated light or Prakasha. It is connected with a temporal vibration called a spanda. Imagine a state of peace and witness of all. Anuttara is associated with the letter A or the sound A. The second term is Aham, the heart of Shiva. It is the concept of supreme reality or supreme subject as the heart or Hridayam. It is considered to be a non-dual interior space of Shiva, identical to Shakti, or the supreme mantra which supports the entire manifestation. It is the supreme creative energy, also referred to as Visarga. Now the third term is Swatantra, which means it is self-created free will or desire of the Supreme or Shiva, which caused the creation of the universe. We humans also have a limited degree of free will based on our level of consciousness and karma. It is said that the practitioner who realizes the Supreme gets instantaneous realization and perfect freedom or Swatantra. The fourth term is Kula or Kala. That primarily translates as family or group. It also means totality, but here it is referred to as the group of people who have a common unifying bond which ultimately relies on the Supreme Lord Shiva for all the support. Some practices of Kala are very obscure in nature and mystical as well, which does not comply with orthodox thinking. Kashmir Shaivism is also known as Trika or Triad system. There are many triads. Let me share a quick glimpse of some of them. To keep this video short and focused, I will not go into the philosophical details of each term. In these triads, the first one is three essential realities. First is Shiva as a transcendental, then Shakti as immanent or manifested in this creation, plus she is the link between macrocosm and microcosm, and the third is Anu or limited individual containing the complete image of the ultimate of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva revealed three types of agmas, which I have already covered: Bhairava, Rudra, and Shaiva agma. They gave rise to three kinds of philosophies: non-dualistic or Abheda, qualified non-dualistic, which is mixed Abheda and Veda, and the third one is Bheda or dualistic, very similar to Vedantic schools. There are three levels of Shaktis: Para or transcendence or supreme, Apara means eminence or manifested, and Para-apara, which is mixed of both, which relates to essential realities. Now, there are three types of energies or powers. One is will or Ichha Shakti, second is knowledge or Jnana Shakti, the third one is action or Kriya Shakti. There are three major entities: Shiva as Pati or master, then individual soul considered as the animal or Pashu, because each of them is caged through the bondage called Pasha. Thus, there are three aspects of knowledge. The subject, the supreme subject, is Shiva himself, and the known object, which normally relates to Shakti, and the modality of knowing Shiva and Shakti. There are three transcendental elements: luminosity, Prakash, again relates to Shiva; reflective awareness, Vimarsha, which relates to Shakti; and the homogeneous bliss or Ananda, when Shiva and Shakti are together in the blissful state or their undivided union, as I talked about in the beginning. You must be aware of three states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and dreamless sleeping. There are three types of impurities or malas born out of our ego, illusion, and ignorance leading to attachments. It is called karma, maya, and anava malas. These impurities can be overcome by the threefold spiritual path or methods or practices called upaya, based on Shiva's method or his grace, Shakti's method or her grace, and individual efforts, thus named as Sambhopaya, Shaktopaya, and Anavopaya. And the grace can directly flow from three sources: Shiva himself, Shiva's scriptures, and the Guru. You may find that some of these triads are very similar, but reflecting different aspects of the same. Furthermore, Kashmir Shaivism has three types of text. One is Agma Sastra, which was directly revealed by Shiva. Within that, there are three types of agmas, which I have already mentioned in the beginning. Then a Spanda Sastra, primarily based on Shiva Sutra. Shiva Sutra is considered as the foundational text of this system. And the third type is Prativigya Sastra, mainly consists of metaphysical and philosophical views. Now let me dive a little bit more into these systems. This school primarily consists of four major subsystems: Prativigya school, Kaula, Krama, and Spanda. It may be useful to know a little bit about each of them on a high level. So the first one is Prativigya, means to spontaneously recognize and realize yourself, means simply recognize who you are. As time passed, this system got veiled, but then again it was reintroduced by great master Somananda around 8th century. This school uses Shiva's viewpoint and requires a very powerful intellect to understand all the intricacies contained in the main scripture of the system. In the theory, the disciple uses no method or technique, also called anupaya, but rather receives Shiva's grace through his or her guru and attains spiritual enlightenment instantly at any place, any time. If you are a highly intellectual person, this school may resonate best with you. The second one is the Kula system, which teaches you how you can live in universal consciousness or Chaitanya during both ascending and descending acts. While you rise from the lowest to the highest state, you also realize your nature. Like Yajurveda says, Yatha pinde tatha brahmande, Yatha brahmande tatha pinde. It means the totality of energy is found in one tiny particle is the same as everywhere else in the universe. Kula system was introduced around the 5th century by Sri Machandranath. Kula or Kala system uses Param Shiva's viewpoint with Shiva Shakti in union. This school uses methods of Shambhopaya or Ikshopaya, which includes Panchamakara and sexual tantra or left-hand path practices. Its methods are very elevated and not fit for all the students. This school can give you a lot, but at the same time it demands a lot. For example, it requires disciples of very high caliber. To practice certain Kala methods without adequate fitness can be very dangerous with all seriousness. This system is also part of Shakta tradition. The Kula teachings include the framework of Tantra Loka and a Tantra Sara text. Next is Krama system. The term Krama means gradual progression. It refers to gradual spiritual progression or refinement of mental processes taking place at the ultimate level or in the supreme consciousness. The step-by-step realization makes your realization firm. Krama is significant as synthesis of Shakta Tantra tradition with mystical flavor based on the non-dualistic Shaivism, focusing on both enjoyment or bhoga and illumination or moksha. Krama system is very similar in some regards to Spanda, as both centers on the activity of Shakti, and also similar with Kula in its tantric approach, but very different from Prativigya school. Though Krama school is an integral part of Kashmir Shaivism, but also an independent system, both philosophically and historically. Krama system is primarily attributed to Shaktopaya or Jnanopaya and relates to 12 Kalis. The rise of prana through Kundalini is described in this system as you rise from one chakra to another one. This system was introduced by sage Durvasa at the beginning of Kali Yuga. Later, it was reintroduced in the 7th century by Sivanandanath. The Krama system moves in space and time, but finally leads to the Param Shiva or non-dual state of Shiva and Shakti. Now, Spanda system. Spanda means movement or vibration. This system recognizes that nothing can exist without movement. Where there is a movement, there is a life. And where there is no movement, that is lifelessness. The Spanda system was introduced by sage Vasugupta around the 8th century. He was the author of both Shiva Sutra, containing 77 sutras, and its commentary in Spanda Karikas. It is a very practical system found in Bhairava Tantra and Swachanda Tantra, and later in the 6th chapter of Tantraloka Tantra. It uses Shakti's viewpoint and is the most famous school out of 4, especially in the West, as here lot more students are always desirous of learning techniques or methods to realize their self. One of the great master, Chaimraj, says these 3 chapters in Shiva Sutras basically suggest the 3 methods. However, number of sutras in the 3rd chapter is more than the first 2 combined. So the 3rd method appears to be more emphasized, which is based on individual efforts called Anavopaya or Kriyavopaya. As you can see, different system of Kashmir Shaivism has different, or to be precise, multiple viewpoints, Shivas, Shaktis, Param Shivas, but at the core it is non-dual aspect. So it is called non-dual Shaivism or Shiva Shakti tradition, where Shiva and Shakti are always in the union. There were many great masters in this tradition. The fundamental work of Kashmir Shaivism is traditionally attributed to Vasugupta for Shiva Sutra. These sutras were revealed to Vasugupta by Shiva. Some of the names here, what you see, you may have heard, are connected to different subsystems, including the name of Vasugupta, Somananda, Sambhunath, etc. Lakshmanju was the most recent known master in this tradition. However, in this list, Abhinavgupta was the brightest one. He studied with many masters from the respective system, and like a honeybee, he collected the nectar. And Abhinavgupta's brightest disciple was Chaimraj, which I mentioned his name before. Chaimraj also wrote a masterpiece text called Prativigya Hridayam, or Heart of Recognition, around 1000 AD. In just 20 sutras, Chaimraj summarized the core philosophy. Today, this text is considered like Yoga Sutra or Vedanta Sutra for Kashmir Shaivism. If you get a chance, please read this masterpiece. I have also listed the top 10 major texts of this system. Bhairava Tantra is technically a chapter of Rudra-Yamala Tantra, in which Lord Shiva has shared 112 meditation techniques which you can use for your practice. Many modern masters have spoken and written commentary on this text. If you have time, you can also read Tantraloka. It is a voluminous work of the great master Abhinavgupta. But for philosophy, I will be using Prativigya Hridayam of Chaimraj in another video. So in summary, Kashmir Shaivism emphasizes that one has to discover the inner bliss without suppressing the senses or torturing the body or mind, because forcible control usually leads to adverse effect. Bottom line is, be as you are. The moment you discover the inner bliss, the fascination for worldly enjoyment will start to disappear by itself gradually. The aim is to use Trika methods, also called Trika yoga practices, that unite the individual with Supreme while living in this world. There is no restriction based on color, creed, class, race, gender, etc. to eligible for this initiation into this system. So these were the fundamentals of Kashmir Shaivism. In my next video, I will cover the origin of Tantric practices, which will demystify the sources and also act as a transition point from Shaiva to Shakta Tantra. And that will set the stage for the fundamentals of Sri Vidya school of Shakta Tantra. Once the foundation of both Shaiva and Shakta schools are in place, it will be easier to grasp the common principle of Shaiva and Shakta philosophy. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Namaste. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the information, please subscribe, like and share so that everyone else can also enjoy this.